Okay, time for a new video, and if this is the first video you've seen of mine, then thank you very much for checking it out. It is greatly appreciated. And if this is yet another video of mine that you're seeing, then thank you very much for returning. Again, it is much appreciated. As always, apologies for the average quality of these videos and for the fact that I don't really edit them. So if I stumble over my words going forwards, I apologise in advance. So, today is yet another Melodifestivalen related video. That is, of course, the Swedish national selection for the Eurovision Song Contest. We've already had 3 shows, and at the time of recording this video, the 4th and final semi-final will occur at the Sparbanken Lidköping Arena in Lidköping tomorrow night. 7 more songs taking to the stage. Next week will be the second chance round, which is of course where the duels take place. That will be in Nyköping. And then the final will occur in roughly 2 weeks' time in Stockholm. Before I talk about semi-final 4, I want to talk very briefly about semi-final 3, which took place on the 16th of February, last week at the time of recording this video, in Leksand. 7 songs, 2 directly to the final, 2 straight through to the second chance round, and then 3 songs eliminated for good. So I'm going to go through those songs very briefly and give you my thoughts. As always, leave comments if you want to. Let me know what you think. Song 1 last week was Somebody Wants by the Lovers of Valdero. This was the sort of wild card entry. A bit of a throwback type song. Very 80s, I feel. Indie, pop, rock, a mishmash of those genres. 2 guys, the Lovers of Valdero, that is. And the performance was okay, the vocals were okay. This song has a lot of support. It did have a lot of support last week, and people still like it now. But I just feel as though it was lacking that little extra something. It was always going to be difficult. On first, up against tough opposition. As a result, the votes weren't exactly going to be huge numbers for this one. And it actually finished last, 7th out of 7. Song 2 last week was Habibi by Dolly Style. Now this won the audience poll 24 hours before the live show, which I found quite surprising. But the song's really not that bad. It's summery, it's fun, but Dolly Style will never end up going to Eurovision. Let's be honest. If you are under the age of 12, you probably loved this. But anybody older than that, such as myself, there's not really a huge amount to enjoy. But saying that, this wasn't that bad at all. They were wearing their pastel-coloured outfits. There was a little bit of choreography. It was all very simple. The song really isn't anything outstanding, but I think you can just enjoy it for what it is. And it finished 5th, so it very nearly made it to the second chance round, but it didn't. So I'm sure they'll be back at some point. The lineup keeps changing all the time for Dolly Style, so who knows. Anyway, song 3, Lord Huitenbrinner, Let the Shite Burn, performed by Martin Stenmark, who of course has represented Sweden before back in 2005 with Las Vegas. This song really just very average, it has to be said. He's very experienced, he's got a good voice, he knows what he's doing, he's done this before on the Melfest stage. It's a ballad, but again, and I say it so many times, but it's so true, it was lacking that little extra something. And as a result, it did not go direct to the final. It probably finished 4th here, but that's enough to get through to the second chance round. I don't see it ending up in the final, though. Gotta be honest. Song 4 was Victorious by Lena Hedlund, who of course is part of Alcazar, very successful band in Sweden. Many times they have tried to represent Sweden. This song, it's a pop song. I thought it was performed quite well. The vocals were alright. It does feel a little bit dated, but it is a good enough song. And clearly a lot of people really loved it because it is going to be taking to the stage in Stockholm a few weeks from now. Not much else to say on that front. Song 5, Och Om Igen, that's a bit of a mouthful, by Omar Rudber. He was formerly in Fo&O, or the Foo Conspiracy if you prefer, who of course competed in Melfest a couple of years ago. This song, pop meets R&B, quite sultry I guess, quite sensual. I'm not really sure how to describe it. I know that he had a couple of dancers on stage with him. I can see him coming back to Melfest, but he needs a better song. He is quite confident, he is young, he has got a lot of potential to go far, but the song was a letdown, and it finished 6th in the end. I'm not a big fan of it either. Song 6, now I really did think this would go direct to the final, but it didn't, and I think the audience poll sort of was a sign that it wasn't going to go directly to the final. It was Rebecca Karlsson with Who I Am, probably finished 3rd. This does sound, at times, very similar to Let It Go from Frozen. It really does sound very similar at times. But good voice, okay performance. There was a sort of ballerina on stage with her. Something like that anyway. I just think it was up against some other pretty good songs, and that's why it didn't quite make it directly to the final. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does get through its duel in the second chance round. And finally, Norrskön, Northern Lights by our man Jon Henrik Fjällgren. This is very atmospheric, very ethereal, very dreamy. The English lyrics I quite like. He's obviously a pretty good performer. This a bit more upbeat than his previous Melfest entries. This is his 3rd attempt. He might well win the whole thing. He really might. But there are some other arguably better songs in the mix. So it will be difficult for him. And I wonder how the international jurors will respond to it. I can see him coming back plenty of times in the future if he doesn't win this year. It is a good song, it really is. It's very different, it's a breath of fresh air, it's very traditional, I appreciate that. But, I don't know, it's not quite at that level, if you see what I mean. Anyway, it is now time to talk about semi-final 4. You can listen to brief audio and watch brief rehearsal footage of these performances online. The best place to do it is svtplay.se. Search for Melodifestivalen, you should be able to find it with no trouble at all. So, song 1 is Stormbringer by Pagan Fury. I have my notes in front of me here. This is great. It's so good to have this type of song in the running. It probably won't win, let's be honest, but it's always good, excuse me, it's always good to have a song like this. I've got here rock, powerful, a thumping beat. It will have its fans, definitely. This song will have a lot of support. There's a gothic theme, a female lead singer. There are these sort of black light-up poles on stage. That's the only way I can describe it. Again, something lacking. Something's missing to make this truly superb. But then again, I've only seen brief rehearsal footage. I've got written down here, I'm not sure about the staging, and not impactful enough. I don't know, maybe it really does build up towards the end. This is not a bad song at all. The music and lyrics are by Tobias Gustafsson, Fredrik Tomander, Anders Wikström and Mia Stegmar. It could finish in the top 4, but in all honesty, I think it might just miss out. My prediction I'll be talking about once I've talked about all the songs. Song 2 is Shanna Day, performed by Anton Hagman. He's been in Melfest before. This song is written by him and Gusten Dahlqvist, Oliver Forsmark and Jakob Hjulström. I've got here, it's bland and uninspired. There's a pink colour scheme on the backdrop behind him. It's forgettable, but I think some people will really, really like this. The staging isn't totally dreadful. If anything, I think once I've seen the whole performance, I'll appreciate it more. There's this sort of bit in the rehearsal footage where he walks off, but it looks as though he's still standing there. There are sort of projections of him on the backdrop that stay there, and his band move in. I don't know how to describe it very well, but I think the whole thing will look good. But from what I've seen, it's not quite there yet. The song, it's not that great either. It feels very average. It sounds harsh, but that's how it really feels to me. I'd be surprised if this got through. Song 3 is Torn by Lisa Ajax. Oh, yes. I've got here, you won't be able to see this very well because it's back to front and I've written it in pencil, but right there, winner in capital letters. This really could be. My goodness me. So many people seemed to forget about Lisa Ajax. But here she is, and she's ready for the win. It's a ballad. Sweden need to send a female this year, as far as I'm concerned. Well, they need to send a band. It's been a very long time. But more realistically, a female soloist. Young female soloists tend to do well in the contest. Lena for Germany years ago. Emily de Forest for Denmark. Let's not forget about her. Could Lisa Ajax be next? Who knows? Lots of people very excited about this one. She's got a nice voice. Hopefully she will stay in tune for the live performance tomorrow night, because I feel as though if she just veers off course, it could be disastrous. So hopefully she will nail the vocals. I've no doubt she will. The staging's very simplistic, as it should be. Very minimal lighting, but there are sort of golden lights behind her, which I think is a very nice touch. It's powerful, it's passionate, it's really very good. That's all I've got to say about it. It's very good. I'd be thrilled if this won. She's got a great voice, like I said. She's very beautiful, and I think she's going to nail it. I really hope so. This will probably win the last semi-final. The music and lyrics are by Isa Molin. Moving on to song 4, this is I Do by Arvingana, highly experienced band, couple of guys in the group. They represented Sweden the year I was born, 1993, with a song called Eloise. Bit of fun, I think it finished in the top 10. They had a song in Melfest in the 90s as well called Bo Diddley, which I actually quite like. And I think their last Melfest entry was way back in 2002, though I could be wrong. Anyway, they are good at what they do. Their genre, they are good at it. It's sort of dance band stuff, which is this sort of old-fashioned, jaunty pop. A little bit cheesy, but people will get up and dance to this. And do not write it off. This probably will finish in the top 4. I've written down here, experienced, jaunty pop. Okay vocals, it's fun, people will dance to it. Yes, it wouldn't be that great a choice for Sweden in Tel Aviv. I wouldn't worry about that because it's not going to win Melfest. But their experience will come through. And I don't know how big a band they are in Sweden, but people will vote for them because I bet they've got loads of fans. And I actually don't mind it. It is a bit of fun. It's sort of the opposite of Dolly Style in a way. Dolly Style, fun aimed at children. Arvingana, fun aimed at a more mature audience, perhaps. I mean, come on. They represented Sweden in 1993 when I was a few months old. So, yeah. I'm supporting them a little bit, but realistically, this is not going to get that far. But don't write it off. The next song, oh sorry, I didn't mention who wrote that song. Nana Grunwald, again highly experienced. She was part of One More Time, I think, in 1996 for Sweden. She co-wrote it with Mikael Karlsson, Kasper Jarnebrink, and Thomas Johansson. Anyway, song 5 My goodness me. Song 5, On My Own, performed by Bishara, a very young male soloist. Music and lyrics are by Marcus Sepermanes. Benjamin Ingrosso represented his country in Lisbon last year, and Robert Haberlin. I had never heard of this guy before he was revealed as a Melfest act. I've heard none of his other stuff. I don't think he's released much stuff. But anyway, this song, I'm glad it's not super cheap. I'm glad it's not Dance You Off 2.0, even though Benjamin has co-written this. It's actually very pleasant to listen to. It's got a nice melody. The staging could be better. I think it's just him from the looks of it, front and centre. There are green lights, I know that much. He might be a bit nervous, but I think we can cut him some slack because of his very young age. Same with the vocals. If they are a little dodgy at times, we have to understand that he's very young. I've got written down here pretty much everything I've just said. Gentle melody. It's really not that bad. I think that he will get a lot of votes from teenagers. Enough to maybe see him finish in the top 2, maybe. I doubt it. Top 4, yes. Top 2, I don't think so. In another semi-final, probably. But in this semi-final, I'm not too sure about it. I did read a long time ago that he could end up being like Franz, a very young singer who sort of comes out of nowhere, wins Melfest, goes to Eurovision. Of course, Franz did in 2016. I don't think that will be happening this year, though, with Bishara. Moving on to Song 6, another highly experienced musician now, Anne-Louise Hansson. So many times she has competed in Melfest. This is not winning, let's be honest. It's Kärleken finns kvar. The whole thing's in Swedish, I believe. The music and lyrics are by David Lindgren, Zacharias, Josephine Glenmark, and Olof Olsson. This really isn't that bad at all. Whenever you hear that an older musician is going to be participating in Melfest, you automatically assume, at least I do, that the song will probably come last in its semi-final. That's what I thought with Jan Malmswer a couple of weeks ago. While I do believe that Anne-Louise Hansson will finish 7th in semi-final 4 tomorrow night, I think it would be a little bit harsh, because actually the song doesn't sound that bad at all. There's a sort of whistling element to the chorus. She's obviously a pretty good performer. Yes, there's not a whole lot of movement. There's a sort of living room on stage with her. There's a lot of furniture, 2 women sitting on a sofa. It's all quite relaxing. Put your feet up. You know, have a cup of tea. Why not? This is not a bad song. Really isn't at all. Lots of people will like it. I've put here nice, but veering on dull. And I don't think a lot of people sort of my age or younger are really going to vote for it. That's a shame, but not a bad song. And finally, at last, Song 7, Too Late for Love, by Jon Lundvik. He's back. He's written this song along with Anders Rethov and Andreas Johansson. Regardless of what happens, he probably will end up going to Tel Aviv anyway, because he's a co-writer on the British entry. And it makes me wonder if Bigger Than Us, which is the UK song for Tel Aviv, was actually going to be John's song for Melfest this year before Too Late for Love came along. And in all honesty, Too Late for Love is the better song. This is more upbeat than My Turn, which was his entry last year, I believe. That was a big, uplifting ballad. This, it's a bit more pop. He's a great singer. He's pretty charismatic. He's likeable. He's really good at what he does. I've written down here, great performer. Bit more upbeat, yes. There's a gospel element to this. He's joined on stage by a couple of other singers. It's only slightly gospel, I would say. It is definitely more pop, but there's that element there, if you see what I mean. You'll know if you've seen the rehearsal footage. I think that if he makes the final, which I think he will, the international juries will adore this. So John is a serious contender for the Melfest win this year, but he's up against some really, really good songs. I like it. It's pretty good. He is a good singer. The staging, again, something's missing. I feel as though a lot of musicians in Melfest this year, they've been restricted for whatever reason. They haven't really gone big. Maybe that's the stage itself, I don't know. But so many performances, there's something missing. Let me know what you think, of course. Anyway, that's it. Those are the 7 songs. My word, I do apologise for waffling, but my prediction, as of right now, is that it will be Lisa. That really is a good song. It really is. You know that would do well in Tel Aviv. It might even win. Lisa and John going directly to the final for me. And then 3rd and 4th, well, I've actually put Bishara and Anton. That's what I've put. 5th, Arvingana. 6th, Pagan Fury. It would be nice to see this get through, but realistically it's more likely to miss out. And then last place, and it would be a shame, Anne-Louise Hanson. My personal top 7, as of this moment in time: Lisa, John, Pagan Fury, Arvingana, and then 5th, Bishara. It's very close between 5th and 4th. 6th, Anton. That song's a massive disappointment. And then last, Anne-Louise, which I feel bad about, but it is my least favourite here. So, that's it. Let me know what you think. I think this is a pretty strong semi-final. And of course, now we have heard enough of all 28 songs in this year's Melfest. The favourite to win, I believe, is still Hannah Ferm and Liamu. But I know that Mohombi is still up there. I'd be very shocked if he won. Lisa Ajax is really coming up on the rails. That is definitely worth keeping an eye on. I know that Victoria is still there, but I feel as though her chances are slipping because it's been a good few weeks since she performed Not With Me. And she's sort of got to remind people how good it is on the night of the grand final. So it's got to be a good place in the running order and a truly superb performance. Jon Hendrik, no, I don't see him winning Melfest. I really don't. Not now I've heard Lisa. We'll see. We'll see. It's a busy weekend for Eurovision action anyway, because Finland are picking their entry, and I'll be honest, I don't see Finland really doing that well in Tel Aviv. Do Finland pick their entry? No, Finland picked their entry at the start of March. I do apologise. Hungary picked their entry this week. Probably going to be Yotzi Papai. Ukraine, I really don't know. I think it might be Brunettes Shoot Blondes. Denmark are probably going to go for the female duo, particularly now that Greenland can vote in that show. And Lithuania, it's either going to be Monica Maria, and it should be her, or Urius. And given some of the decisions that other countries have made so far, Croatia, I would not be surprised if we get some more disappointing entries over the next few days. But anyway, that's it. I should say tonight, in just a few hours' time, Germany will pick its Eurovision entry. As far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty good batch of songs, but it's going to be between Ali Ryan and Lily Among Clouds, and I'm hoping Germany pick the latter, because that sounds so promising. It really does. Let me know what you think. Apologies for waffling. My next video will be at the start of next week, another Eurovision update video, all being well. I'll talk about Melodifestivalen's second chance round this time next week. And yes, just keep an eye on my channel. Thank you very much for watching, so appreciated. Check out my social media links as well if you want, they'll be in the description. I sometimes do polls on my Twitter page, so vote in them if you want. Sorry for the length of this video, I'm going to shut up now, and about time too. Until next time, bye for now.